So let's get into the issues. Advocate, no, Mr Mngomezulu. Mr Tulani Mngomezulu, not advocate. My apologies. Lived up to his word. He fulfilled his promise of coming with 14 affidavits, but they were incomplete. Hence, you've got that statement. For those who don't understand Sepedi, this wedding, it means they were incomplete. This is Komota's language. We must acknowledge the source of this language. He came with those affidavits. You could see he's got a bundle of them, but he put very few of them to Sergeant Mohola, and I'll take you through some of those, what they were all about, and their significance or lack thereof in terms of our own analysis and understanding of this case. So he started by asking Sergeant Mohola whether did she or the investigating team interview or take statements from family members, the Mayor family, and the response from Sergeant Mohola was consistently no, because this question was expanded to say, did you take statements from Sifiso? Did you take statements from that person? And Mohola was consistently saying, no, I didn't. We were working as a team. I was assigned certain assignments, and it's possible that Gininda could have taken some of the statements, but he did not brief me about anything that he was doing, and I did not have the right to question him about things that he did not brief me, because he is my commander, not the other way around. I'm his subordinate. So there could have been certain statements or investigations that Gininda would have done that me, being Sergeant Batobakai, Belinda Mohola, would have not known about those things. So Mngomezulu had a little bit of an argument with Mohola about that, but ultimately he moved away from that argument and ultimately he started putting the statements to Sergeant Mohola. And the first one that he put to her, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of his chronology, I think was that of Mr. Hlophe. Either Mr. Hlophe or he started with the one for Sifiso. I'm not sure which one came first. But let's start with Mr. Hlophe's statement. Remember, guys, Mr. Hlophe is Senzo's brother-in-law, or Sifiso's brother-in-law, who made a statement in 2019 that Tumelo called him on the 26th of October 2014 after Senzo was murdered, saying Senzo was killed by Longwe while trying to separate a fight between Zandi and Longwe. So that is Mr. Hlophe. That is the guy who made that statement in 2019. It's very important to emphasize that this statement was made in 2019. Now, that statement was put to Tumelo. Like I said, we did not expect anything new from those statements. That statement was put to Tumelo on two occasions. First, before Judge Chifua Maumela, and later before Judge Ratamkhwatli. And in both instances, Tumelo was consistent with one question. This is very crucial information that Mr. Hlophe had. Why did he keep quiet about it all along up until 2019? And that question has not been answered. Fortunately, Mngomezulu told us that he's going to call Hlophe. So finally, we're going to get an answer from Mr. Hlophe. Why did he keep quiet with such a crucial evidence all along up until 2019? Because if I'm not mistaken, the same person that Hlophe would have given that statement was part of the investigators in 2014. So again, Hlophe's statement meant nothing to some of us. And Tumelo has rubbished that statement. And then there was a statement of Sifiso Meyiwa, Senzo's brother. Now, Baloyi and Judge Ratamokwatleng called that statement a double or triple hearsay evidence because Sifiso says he had Ivan Khoza. Ivan Khoza said he had somebody else. So there's 3 people who had. And it's possible even that somebody else heard from somebody else, because this has always been gossip. We've never had a proper source of this information. This has been gossip on the streets of social media that Senzo was killed by Longwe by mistake. Remember, Tefo even took this one further and said, no, it was not Longwe. It was Kelly who killed Senzo by mistake. Now Mngomezulu is resuscitating. Remember last week I told you that Mngomezulu ke Hezekiel, he's resuscitating the bones. Wakolomana mathambo ahlangana, Hezekiel. So Mngomezulu is resuscitating that gossip that Senzo was shot by Longwe using a revolver 38 special. Now we will get to that story of the revolver 38 special. So that was a Sifiso statement, triple hearsay. Originally, initially, Baloyi was objecting. Thank you, Babo. Thank you. Initially, Advocate George Baloyi was objecting to that hearsay evidence. Judge Ratamokwatleng was in agreement, but for fairness, which is what is always done towards the defense, he allowed Mngomezulu to lead that hearsay evidence. So, excuse me, guys. So, Judge Rata allowed Mngomezulu to lead that hearsay evidence. So, Mngomezulu says he's gonna call these people. And the moment Mngomezulu mentioned Ivan Khoza, in a statement made by Sifiso Meyiwa, because Sifiso Meyiwa was saying he went to Orlando Pirates offices, met with Ivan Khoza, they drove together to a mortuary where they were going to identify Senzo's coffin. And I think it was during that moment where Ivan Khoza said to Sifiso, mfana wami, lento leyo ukuthi Senzo wadukulega by intruders. This thing of saying they were intruders, it's not true. Senzo was killed by Longwe while he was trying to separate. So that was Sifiso's assertion in his affidavit. The moment that was mentioned, Baloyi stood up and said, but Ivan Khoza, Dr. Ivan Khoza, has deposed an affidavit rubbishing that story. Ivan Khoza refutes that statement. Thank you for 100k likes, guys. Thank you. Baloyi indicated that Ivan Khoza refuted that allegation that he told Sifiso that Senzo was killed by Longwe Twala. So it remains gossip that has been rubbished. Again, that statement, for some of us, it's irrelevant. And then we had a very interesting statement of a certain traditional doctor. Let me get that name properly. Nompilo Sangweni. Dr. Nompilo Sangweni. I understand that's how they are being referred these days. Now, Nompilo Sangweni's version as well is not new. There's very little minute details that are new, but the fact that Kelly went to consult with a traditional doctor after Senzo was killed for cleansing is not new information. Therefore, brandish that information before Judge Maumela. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm Mngomezulu. So that information is not new, but what is new in Nompilo Sangweni's affidavit is the actual conversation that she had with Kelly. She said Kelly looked like she wanted to kill herself. And she said to her, no, you shouldn't kill yourself. Your children will still need you. Now, Kelly came the very first time after the murder, I think on the day of the murder, went to see Nompilo for cleansing. But that ritual, it looked like, could not be conducted at the time because Dr. Sangweni needed Kelly's mother as well to be present, it would appear. And then apparently Kelly came back later, mid-December, or in the middle of December, Kelly came back saying she's ready to conduct the ritual, but I think the mother, again, if I'm not mistaken, was not available, and the ritual was only conducted in January 2015. And when it was conducted, the interesting part about Nompilo's affidavit is that she says Kelly came with Longwe and Zandi Khumalo, and she shouted, that is the doctor, asking why is Longwe here? And they told her that Longwe also needed some assistance because Longwe was seeing dreams of a man who was strangling him. Kelly as well was saying her things are not going properly. She's having bad dreams. So Nompilo Sangweni conducted some rituals. I think there was steaming that happened. I think that's what she did. So that was Nompilo, but again, the fact that there was consultation with the traditional doctor is not new information. And Kelly will have to come and answer for that. That does not translate that the fact that Longo was there and the traditional doctor could see a man in black shadowing Longwe does not translate to say Longwe was the shooter or Longwe killed Senzo. For those who understand traditional things, spirits and dreams, how these things are communicated, and I'll come to that in detail, that aspect again. So at the end of Mngomezulu's cross-examination, I think he also put to Sergeant Mohola the statement, and let me say, Sergeant Mohola was consistent in not responding to some of the statements by saying, I did not take that statement and I did not commission it. It's not my statement, so I cannot respond to that. There were a few questions that she would respond to, but she was consistent about those statements. There was also a statement of Tumelo Madlala, the supplemental statement that was taken by Gininda, I think, where Tumelo was explaining the issue of the 38 special, because he was explaining the gun that he saw, and the person who was taking the statement wrote that Tumelo said the gun was a revolver 38 special, something like that. So Tumelo made a supplemental statement clarifying that he saw a gun with a wheel. And then Mngomezulu also put to Sergeant Mohola the statement made by Longwe, who was saying he also saw somebody, one of the guys, the intruder, holding a revolver. Now that was interesting because Mngomezulu was saying Longwe killed Senzo, but now he wanted to rely on Longwe's statement to support that assertion and further support the assertion that says the gun that killed Senzo was a revolver according to Longwe. But Judge Ratamokhatlen reminded him, is this the same Longwe that you said killed Senzo? But he's not saying that in his statement. He's saying he saw people come in holding a revolver. And Rata asked, do you want to rely on one aspect, only that one aspect of the gun? And Mngomezulu said, yes. And in conclusion of his cross-examination, Mr. Mngomezulu indicated that he's going to subpoena Kelly Khumalo, he's going to subpoena Chigo Twala, and he's likely to subpoena Dr. Ivan Khoza, because he even indicated that Khoza is not immune to being called to come and testify. So very brave Mngomezulu saying, no, I'm going to subpoena even Khoza. He's not big enough to not be called. So we will watch the space. What value are those people going to add? Because already we know Dr. Ivan Khoza is not going to be supportive of the defense case. And once again, one can conclude that Mngomezulu is playing to the gallery. And I'm going to explain something. We need to give him credit for that. I personally will give him credit for that. And I will explain why I'm giving him credit for doing what he is doing. And then after his cross-examination, we had Mr. Sipora Mosepile appearing on behalf of accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi. And Ramosipile's cross-examination focused on the chain of custody of the buccal samples that were taken from Bongani Ntanzi, accused number 2. And I think Ramosipile had something there, that he was coming up with. I think we need to give credit again where it's due, because the state has only led evidence on the chain of custody of the samples that were taken from accused number 3 and number 4. They have not led evidence so far, I must say. We've not had evidence on the chain of custody of the buccal samples that were taken from Bongani Ntanzi. And the version of Ntanzi as put by Ramosepile was that those samples were taken by Sergeant Mngomezulu, whom we understand is not qualified to do that, a point which was considered by Sergeant Mngomezulu as well, that as far as she knows, Sergeant Mngomezulu is not qualified to take buccal samples. I see some people are talking about okay, let me leave this. So Ramosepile focused on that, and he indicated that he requested any statement that deals with the chain of custody for the buccal samples taken by Sergeant Mngomezulu, and he has not received that. So we will see how the state responds to that point by Ramosepile, and then after that he requested for an early adjournment so that he can consult with Bongani Ntanzi further. And then we had Advocate Charles Mnisi trying to do the honorable thing. Advocate Charles Mnisi stood up and admitted that last week he was wrong. Now remember, guys, we told you in this life that Charles Mnisi is wrong, terribly wrong. And today he became a little bit honorable. He admitted he was wrong, but stopped short of apologizing, because I expected him to apologize for wasting the court's time, because we wasted a lot of time on a very minute issue that he did not hear properly. But the good thing is he considered, he went to listen to the record on his own. Remember, we told him where to find that record, where to start. We told him on this live that he shouldn't listen to the whole record. There's a particular time where he can start playing it. And I guess he did exactly that, and he realized that he was wrong. So he admitted he was wrong, but stopped short of apologizing. I would have expected him to apologize for wasting the court's time. So, as I was saying, I think we should give Mngomezulu some credit. I think I should do that. And I'm just giving him credit for trying. Because, you know, guys, in criminal matters, where the burden of proof is heavy on the side of the state, you can take your chances. You can throw anything that you can to the state and hope that the judge that is listening or the presiding officer that is listening to that case is a sleepist, the word that was coined by Mr Mngomezulu. You can only hope that the presiding officer is a sleepist. Throw everything at the court and hope that the magistrate or the judge or the prosecutors don't know what they are doing. And that's exactly what Mngomezulu is doing. Just throwing everything. Throwing gossip that has been on the streets for too long. Why not? But unfortunately for him, in this case, the judge is wide awake. This judge knows what he's doing. The prosecution team knows what they are doing. That is what is happening. And Mngomezulu had a little bit of an argument with Judge Rata. And it is those engagements by the judge, guys, that gives us an idea. It's those engagements that are able to help us to predict the judgments that these judges or presiding officers make with precision. Now, Judge Rata had a little bit of an argument with Mngomezulu about this traditional or African science or African practices, not even science, because Rata said ballistic evidence, it's science, it cannot change. Even after 20 years, it will still be there. Even if you can call Christo de Klerk, when he comes, he's still going to find class characteristics. He's still going to find individual markings. He's still going to find striations. This is the language that we learned from Lieutenant Colonel Chris Manyena. The evidence which was supported by Warrant Officer Rolufse. Rata today is telling us that that's what he believes in, science. Not some dream that somebody dreamed or somebody saw the spirit saying this person is surrounded by a shadow of a man. Therefore, Rata must conclude that that man is the killer. He said, no, this court is not equipped to make that conclusion. This is Rata Mokgotleng. Now, it's those kind of debates, guys, it's those kind of assertions that you should listen to carefully, because that's what gives you an idea of where this case is going. Now, already Rata is telling us that in the absence of any challenge, any scientific challenge to Manyena's evidence, I'm going to accept it. He's telling you in not so many ways. When he says, I believe in science, ballistic evidence is science, and it's not going to change. Even after 20 years, it's not going to change. It will remain the same. He's already telling you that I'm likely to consider that evidence in the absence of any credible scientific challenge to it. And once he accepts Mangena, remember we've always said once Mangena's evidence is led and is not challenged, it's game over for accused number 3. And why did we say that? We are linking this with the admissions that he made through his lawyer, Advocate Charles Mnisi. 2 important admissions that they made. One, there was a plea amendment made in terms of Section 106 of the Criminal Procedure Act that accused number 3 has already been convicted of that gun. He used the Latin word, Advocate Mnisi, atrophos confi, that he's already been convicted, so there's no dispute that it's his gun. But the other important admission was the admission of the pictures, that the pictures that were found on accused number 3's phones belong to accused number 3, Carlos Ncube. And one of those pictures is the picture of him holding that gun that the state alleges is the murder weapon, titled My Killing Machine. And remember, guys, when that gun was circulated in court, the judge even referred to as My Killing Machine. Now, it's those kind of analysis, guys, it's those kind of information that help us to understand where this case is going. So, in short and in summary, Mngomezulu's affidavits were pure gossip and hearsay evidence. They don't contribute nothing much. Most of them taken from docket 375, which we closed in this life, and it will never be opened. No maganjani, not in this life. We closed docket 375 because it does not have evidence. It contains statements that only contains hearsay. Even the statement of that traditional doctor, in her statement, she says Kelly told her that they were intruders. Now, as I conclude, let me remind everybody that this is a platform for us to engage. This is a platform for us to share information and to educate one another. And we do that with respect. Please respect this platform, guys. There's nothing wrong with disagreements. Express your disagreements in a respectful manner. If you disagree or if you disrespect these simple rules on our platform, we will block you. Simple as that. If you think what I said is not true, feel free to come on the panel to come and share your truth. Nothing wrong with that. And we will engage you. But engage with respect. Even on the comment section. This is not some tavern. People used to refer to us as Kwakwembu. As much as I embraced that word, but this is not some tavern. I've said this previously, that there are very important people in this life. And we have to respect each other. And again, Rulani told me that everyone in this life is important. I must not single out specific individuals. So we've got over 1.2 thousand important people on this life. Let's respect those people. Let's respect each other. I respect all of you. And I don't expect anyone to come here with disrespect. We're going to deal with you very fast and furious. Thank you guys for over 229,000 likes. Thank you. And many thanks to all our gifters. Let me quickly acknowledge them. I am Mngomezulu, Babo, Tesh, Naes, Riri Fitness, Mini Deco by Zanele, Bongs, Rams, Nontombilu Yanda, Gejama Pointy, Street Preacher 1, Kudos, and Ali Basi. Is it Ali Basi or Ali Baki? Thank you guys for those gifts. We really appreciate them. Okay, let me see who's on the queue. Right, we've got Flight Captain. We've got Matiza. And remember, guys, as soon as I accept you, please mute your microphone up until it's your time to speak. As soon as I accept you, thank you, Mpo, thank you, Fistos. As soon as I accept you, please mute your microphone. Thank you, Tobias. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all those gifts. Official Minister, good evening, my friend.
Good evening, my friend. Good evening, everyone else who is here today.
Hey, Tada.
Those who are visiting for the first time today, and the regulars, and everyone else. Pradeni,
Hey, Tada.
I've always said so many times that I am not like Captain Smith.
Yes.
Like Captain Smith. I will never abandon this flight, because the day we land, it is the day the Mngomezulu family is going to get justice.
Yes.
Pradeni, did you say Mnisi said he was wrong?
Yes, he did.
I thought I didn't hear properly.
He accepted that he was wrong.
We came to this live. I broke it down alphabet by alphabet, word by word, statement by statement, paragraph by paragraph.
Yes.
The evidence of hoax.
Yes.
And I said Mnisi got it wrong, and I even told you why he got it wrong, because he didn't have exhibit that was referred to the annexure.
Annexure 6.
Annexure 6, my brother. That is the chart. That is the reason why I went to court that day, because I wanted to be there, listen, and see. Because sometimes if you don't see,
yes,
you lose context.
Yes.
And people, brother, have been spamming my inbox with, you don't have to be in court to understand. Mnisi is right, sending me the snippets of what Holtz said. What are they saying today? They must retract those messages they send in my inbox, Pradeni, because they've been flooding my inbox. Now my inbox is full. They must retract it, because I told them, and they ridiculed our responses. But fair enough, let's move. Thank you, Mnis, for attending this live. If it is this live that gave you insight, we are just doing our work without being biased. We're just following evidence. That's the best that we can do. And if it's not this live, then whatever records you looked at, we appreciate that. Pradeni, introduction.
Yes.
I will start by going through the following introduction. What is your role, ma'am? What is your role, Sergeant Mohola? My role, I have I have led an evidence about my role. That is a proper answer, Pradeni. If you're still asking what is my role this time, after I've told you that I investigated cases, one of them was the Tempisa case, and I've also told you that some of these accused are sitting here because of my role. But if it is on this case, I've already led evidence. You know, I had J50 to charge some of these guys. The role has been led. I went with the Muzi to Babuzwane, and then we went to Eratin. All that has been led.
Yes.
If you're still asking that, we are not shocked why we are seeing this kind of defense.
Yes.
But then there was no pressure here of an eye. This technique, I've said it many times. Mngomezulu has got a tendency, Pradeni, to mark this. Very soon is going to be a leg. Whenever he's got trouble and he need to refresh mind, is my chest. My eye, very soon is going to be a leg, Pradeni. This, I knew there was nothing, but anyway, this is what we are faced with. like I said, introduction. I will call Kelly Kumalo. I will call Ivan Koza. I will call Sello Chigotwal. I hope you call these people because we are still waiting for a special entry.
Yes.
He thinks we forgot. We'll remind him on the last day that we are still waiting for. He promised things. I will do this. He said he will argue, Pradeni, that Judge Rata in a trial, within a trial, said to him, Kininda came here and said he's a head of the cold case unit. Was he lying? He said, yes, that is the point I'm going to argue. Did he argue that particular point? No. This man is got a way of just playing for the gallery. We will remind him if he doesn't call Kelly Kumalo, Ivan Koza, and Chico Twala, as much as we are reminding him that he didn't argue that Kininda is not the head of cold case unit, that cold case unit doesn't exist, that he didn't put this special entry that he said he will. We are still waiting. He still got a chance at least to do that. Our legal minds are here today. Can they tell us what is the difference between a SEP 3M and a SEP 76? I think it is of section 76 of CPA, the charge sheets, if I'm not mistaken, Pradhan. Can they tell us what happens when somebody is charged? Why are you really forcing that SEP 3M statement, warning statement, when a person when that document is completed, it means they are charged. They will come, I'll leave that to them. But let me go into the meat of the thing, of the issue now, Pradhan. Pradhan, is the reason we've always talked about the purpose of a witness.
Yes.
And if Mngomezulu can misunderstand the purpose, I'm not shocked why those who are praising him are misunderstanding this case. There is a reason why Lion Zwane was called, Pradhan.
Yes.
Lion Zwane wasn't called because he's an Inyanga to prove that his Intlantla Mhlope that he gave these guys worked. It was not for Intlantla Mhlope that he gave to these guys. He came there to confirm that when he was at Eratin, Muzi was there on that particular day. And he also came to tell us that Muzi consulted with him. Yeah. Whether that thing worked or it didn't work, it's none of our problem. Yes. The matter is they had Msebenzi, and then after Msebenzi, somebody died.
Yes.
Right? And Mohola tells us that, yes, Muzi is correct, because if you look at what Zwane said, somebody died, and Muzi, in his confession, as much as he lied with many things, he agreed that he was there. He just didn't go inside the house. He agreed that he was there as part of the crew that killed Senzo Meiwa. Yes. That is the purpose.
Yes.
Whether Intlantla Mhlope brings luck and that is not the case. So Mngomezulu misunderstood that and comes and tells us about us methylated spirits, or is it spirit, Jamoya, or whatever, that they have seen white person wearing white, whether it's an angel or what, we don't know, or is Senzo, nobody knows. So he misunderstood that. 38 special, Pradhan.
Yes.
The 88 special story has been canvassed, and Tumelo has said, I now understand why Mngomezulu chose to go to the statement rather than the evidence before court, because the evidence before court, which includes the cross-examination, re-examination of Tumelo by Baloyi, clarified what that point 88, that he narrowly decided to choose that line which was clarified. Tumelo said, I don't know guns. I cannot say point 38. But he now comes and says, Tumelo said it's a revolver.
Yes.
And the judge asked, why are you going to statements when witnesses came here? They gave evidence under cross-examination and re-examination.
Yes.
And then he says something very important, and the legal minds who are here, they will come and address on this point, brother. He says, Longwe statement says a man with a revolver came in and Longwe grabbed and pushed that man with a revolver. And in the same argument, he says, Longwe came with the revolver.
Yes.
And that is the revolver that killed Senzo. The question arises, Bradin, how can these 2 points reconcile? They can't.
No.
Either Longwe came with a revolver or the revolver was with the person who Longwe grabbed and pushed. Yeah. Unzima lo mthwalo. Let's move to Mthethwa's evidence. Pradeni, if you read the statement by Mthethwa, you will never understand the evidence before court. Because you will think Mthethwa went into the house and did a search, if you read the statement.
Yes.
But if you follow the evidence before court, Mthethwa said, we came in when we went out. We didn't even look. We and then we went out.
Yes.
But as a legal attorney or lawyer, you want to say Mthethwa didn't find a projectile. Yes, he didn't find it because he didn't look.
Exactly.
We went in and came out. But you want to say, no, they went in, looked. It's because you don't understand the evidence before court. Yet you are a lawyer for people who are facing a very serious charge. What is that? Brother, I remember Mthethwa, even Ratha said the same thing when Mthethwa said that. But anyway, let's go to Ivan Khoza. Fiso Meiwa claims that Ivan Khoza asserted that there was no break-in and robbery.
Yes.
This is Fiso, Brother, suggesting that those present in the house were aware who is responsible for this matter. The defense has got a statement commissioned by Mr. Khoza rebutting the statement by Fiso Meiwa, which is not even commissioned, Pradeni, fully commissioned. There is just a lieutenant there. There is no name or nothing. A commission statement is rebutting that. But we are then told that Fiso Meiwa's statement it must be believed. Pradeni, the other day, Gerinel said, you know what, official? The first day I met Fiso Meiwa, I was 100% sure that there is a record to that, Pradeni, on YouTube. He said he was 100% sure that these guys, the police officers, they have done something, some tlatlaphansi underground to protect those who are in the house. He said, when Fiso told me all this story, I said to Fiso, we are going to unearth everything, don't worry. And then Gerinel said they went and then met the investigating team. They were taken through the docket and all that. And after they were taken through the docket, they went to Meiwa's Fiso to say, Fiso, Kininda is spot on. And then Fiso lost it and said, I'm firing you. Why? Because they are not buying his tale. And when they fired, when Fiso fired them, the mother of Senzo Meiwa, who believes in the state case, the sister and the cousin, they said, we are remaining with you guys as our watching brief. The family itself, Pradeni, they don't believe this Fiso. Go on and believe him. The mother of Senzo doesn't believe as Fiso, the sister and the cousin. There are many of them. So, but if you want to believe him, even when Ivan Khoza said otherwise, call Ivan Mngomezulu. There are just 2 points remaining, Pradeni. One is the tendency of misleading the court and Hlophe's statement. Now, let me go to the tendency of misleading the court. Mngomezulu has got a tendency of misleading the court. I repeat, Mngomezulu has got a tendency of misleading the court, and I'm not saying it for the first time. Second, I've said it many times, and I've got proof where he has said exactly that, and I came here to say exactly that, and even the judge has said, no, that's not evidence before court. Even Baloyi has said the same thing. So why am I saying this? Today he did that in flying colors. The man with the fiduciary duty did that with flying colors today. Mohola said, you have got a tendency of making incorrect statements. When everything you say, show me on the statement. I said, Tata. I've been saying this. Why, Pradeni? Mohola was correct. Mohola, you were 100. It's just that you were 100% correct. I can give you even 10% bonus. Mngomezulu has got the habit of misleading the court, Pradeni, and we cautioned so many times. But let me go into the point. Why am I saying that, and why he did that today? Today he's misled the court again by suggesting that Zungu mentioned in A126 statement. Pradeni, I came here in this live many times. I said the A126 statement is not of Sizwe Zungu, who is a police officer. Yes. That is of Absalom Zungu that Kininda referred to. It is Absalom Zungu, Braden, who went to Pretoria to tell Zungu about what Mbekiseni said to him, that Mafiga and another brother of Ntanzi, they are fighting. And it was through that breakout that Absalom Zungu made this statement. That statement was put on record by Ramasepele. And Absalom Zungu and Sizwe Zungu, they are not the same person. Now, Mngomezulu says, after Kininda has come to this court and said what Zungu, who Makubo and other people refuted his statement, Kininda used that same particular statement to follow the case. That is wrong, because by the time Zungu met Kininda, the story about what Mbekiseni has said, Kininda knew already about that when he met with Zungu in Kempton Park after Zungu went to Telecom Towers to meet with the commissioner. At that point, Zungu could feel that they are at his heels already because he was feeling the fire. That's why he decided to act, to say, let me break this thing before they can come for me. So that was misleading the court, Braden. Is exactly what I mean. Don't confuse Absalom Zungu and Sizwe Zungu. They are two different people. One had Mbekiseni saying this story, and the other one was there when these guys drank Jameson and came in with a 9mm and a revolver. It's very important to clarify that.
And celebrated with meat as well.
Yes. Now let's go to Hlophe's statement. Mngomezulu, I don't know where guys, Hlophe's statement and everything that Mngomezulu was saying was tweeted a long time ago in Twitter by some gentleman who I feel he had a docket on that particular day when he was tweeting all this. The Hlophe statement, Bradeni, was attempted to be used and it was rejected. Do you remember?
Yes.
And do you remember that it was because it was not commissioned?
Yes.
It was not commissioned, and even though it was not commissioned, Tumelo jumped in to say, I understand that statement was not commissioned. But here is my question. Why does someone withhold such crucial information until 2019? That was a very key point, Pradeni. And I gave people in this live an assignment to say, everyone else, Senzo's brother had access to media and these guys, but they never mentioned this important point that is in Hlophe's statement up until 2019. And I gave reasons why it was mentioned in 2019. I said the reason it was mentioned in 2019, it is because case 375 was born in January of 2019. And it is for that reason that this statement was mentioned. Before case 375, this statement is nowhere. And I said to people, go and look for it and come and share that information. I'm still waiting. It is almost a year now. Those who embarked on this exercise, go and find it. You are not going to find it anywhere else recorded that the contents of that Hlophe statement, senzo what it was tweeted. First time you heard that, it was when it was tweeted and then published on the newspapers and all that, because 375 was born. The one that was opened by Makubo and Buthelezi. This case, Bradeni 375, but Lloyd didn't have this case up, and the evidence before God is he didn't have this case even when he requested the docket. It was Buthelezi, Makubo came and they gave it to Tefo. They didn't give it to the state. And Baloyi said, I'm going to request the original docket and then we'll decide on what happens on that docket after this serious matter. Not that we will prosecute it. No. We will decide. We'll look at it and decide. That case, Pradeni 375, is called gossip. We have been telling people that there is gossip there.
Yes.
One gossip. Ivan Khoza said what? Ivan Khoza said, I didn't say that nonsense. There is somebody who called me, told me somebody dubulika or somewhere, where. It's always about somebody said this to that, somebody's involved with what. It's always that. Kelly Kumalo told me that, hey, what, guess, I don't sleep, It's always about somebody telling a story. It's always about somebody saying this. This case is a waste of time. It doesn't have ballistic report at all. There is no murder weapon in this case. It is for that reason that it is said as part of those in those charges that is defeating the end of justice because people cleaned the room and all that. And we know,
yes,
we know that people wanted to, they attempted to, or they defeated the ends of justice, Pradin. We know. And the state is coming after those people. When we are done with this, we will come to those ones.
Yes.
One of those individual, Pradin, unfortunately is late, is Brigadier Ndlovu.
Yes.
Brigadier Ndlovu, when Colonel Nithling got a cell phone from the house, he gave them for download. Just when they are done downloading,
yes, Brigadier
Ndlovu sent Mama Tani to go and get those downloads. And we never hear anything, Pradeni, about a cell phone chart produced up until 2020 when Steyn does the work. And Steyn says something very important in his evidence, that waiting for such a long time robbed us of an opportunity of 205, because if we manage to see that Kelly communicated with all these people, we could have requested section 205 for all of those people of interest. And as the result, after 3 years, it becomes a mission too impossible to get that. Unfortunately, Ndlovu is not here to answer. Yes. I wish he was here to answer, because that decision, Pradeni, yes, was very key, because those downloads never went back to Colonel Nithling.
Yes.
We still remember that evidence. So to say people wanted to defeat the ends of justice, we know. It's not a new story.
Yes.
So I'm not going to talk about cleansing, Pradeni. I'm not qualified to talk about that, whether people were cleansing and then they saw what. I'll leave that to people. But guys, in short, there is nothing that happened today. And if you are hearing noises somewhere else, I don't know what's happening, but the legal minds who are here, please come and tell us the difference between SEP 3M and then that SEP 76. And one other thing, what is the importance of laying a basis for your statement? Because I've seen they've given up in that court, Prateni, that we'll just let them go because they don't even know that they have to lay the basis. They've given up. Baloy doesn't stand up anymore because he has said enough. He will argue his points.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, official minister. And as we close the introduction and the summary of what happened, let's venture into this thing of the revolver, official minister. Because Mngomezulu tried to spend some time proving that the gun that killed Senzo was a revolver. And he does that by relying on the statements of the people who were in the house, 1 Tumelo, 2 Longwe. Now, the question is, was there a revolver in that house on that day? And my answer would be, we don't know. But there's something that we know. There's evidence that we know that has been led before court. Zungu, Constable Sizwe Zungu, testified that when these guys returned around 9, he saw them passing the passage going into Gwabeni's bedroom. And because he had his gun there, he got worried. Immediately he followed them. They switched off the light. And as he was coming, Gwabeni said, Nangwe is over. And he asked them why they are switching off the light. And Gwabeni said, this light here show pass sometimes. And he switched it back on. At that time, they were handing Gwabeni a 9mm pistol and a revolver. That is the testimony that we had from Constable Sizwe Zungu. He said he took out his gun, his work pistol, a 9mm. He took out the magazine and smelled it. The reason why he smelled it was the suspicion that it could have been used in criminal activities because he saw another 9mm being handed. And he wanted to make sure that that was not his work-related 9mm. So already we are being told there were 2 guns, a 9mm and a revolver by Sizwe Zungu. The second knowledge about this revolver or about the second gun, now, let me be careful and not say a revolver. Bongani Ntanzi, in his confession, he tells us that he was given a small gun. He did not describe what that small gun is. We don't know what that small gun is, but he corrected the statement after it was read to him. When the statement said he did not have the gun, Bongani Ntanzi is the one who corrected Magistrate Konyu to say, no, that statement should read, I was given a gun and a small gun. So, would people want to argue that nobody saw a revolver? It can be argued, it will be argued that there was a revolver in that house. But whether it was there or not, whether it's what Tumelo saw, whether it was what Longwe saw, we don't know. And I will leave it there.
Yes, my brother.
Yes.
Yeah, so the chances are, based on Zungu's evidence and based on Bongani Ntanzi's confession, one can believe that there might have been a revolver in there, but Ntanzi doesn't tell us what type of a gun he had. He just said I was armed as well. So the two guys who entered the house, they were all armed. So how the state is going to argue the revolver issue, or they are even going to argue for that point, we don't know. But what is it that we know for a fact? What we know for a fact is around 5:25 on a Saturday, a day before Senzo Meyiwa was killed, accused number 3, Ngube took a picture with his cell phone, which Mnisi doesn't dispute that it was taken on that particular day, holding that particular firearm, calling a machine, killing machine. Ngube took that particular picture with that gun. That same gun, it is the same gun that was found on top of Ngube's wardrobe. That we know and is not in dispute. It is the same gun that matched 9 cartridges that killed Reggie Mohlala in Alexander, according to the evidence presented in Alexander, where Ngube was found guilty of murder, of murdering my brother Reggie Mohlala, the taxi owner in Alexander. That is evidence. There is no dispute. This is the same gun that matches the projectile that Mohlahlo traced and Musia picked up, and Mangena, with his ballistic expert, says it makes sense the way the door was open for that projectile to go there. That is the evidence before court. And that is what we know. That gun matches this firearm. And Mnisi said this firearm is not in dispute, that it is the firearm that was in Alexander and the firearm that Mangena tested. In this court. It's not in dispute. We know all these things. So you can come and argue about a 9mm, a revolver, .38, but we are telling you about the evidence before this court. Come and tell us that they have placed that projectile there like Numalo attempted to do, and we'll ask the question when you say that. But all that we know, Prateni, this gun belongs to Ngube. According to Ntanzi, Ngube was inside according to Ntanzi conversion, Ngube was inside, and the gun matches the projectile that killed Senzo Meyiwa. Period. That projectile is the one that hit the door. That is the evidence before court. And if you still want to argue based on gossip, not objective evidence, you are free to do that. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Official Minister. And one day when we are excited, we will tell you that at some stage, accused number 3 was not disputing these things. It's his lawyers who advised him that we can challenge this case. All right, Matsiza, good evening.
Pratini and the listeners, or the fans, or your constituency, if I may say. And then long time, Pratini, long time. And then I had some personal stuff to deal with, and I had a lot of cases that were too much. Official Minister, how are you?
Hey, my brother, long time. Thank you. All good.
Yeah,
all good.
No. I am okay, man. You know, let me get to the issue. The issue, especially with the practice of law, especially if you are putting a version, the version needs to be consistent. why am I saying that? It's because the previous people who were inside the house who happened to be witnesses have not been questioned, or this version of Longwe holding a revolver has not been put to them. And those are the people who are going to answer, because they were the ones who were the house. But Mngomezulu, understanding that he is new to the case, he was supposed to request, or he was supposed to recall those witnesses and put this version, because this version, you cannot bring about a version at a later stage. Brateni, the practice says if you want you want to put the version, I need to tell Brateni that this is what my clients are going to say, not me. What I normally say personally, I've said, my clients will come before this honorable court and say this is what happened. But it is the very first time that we are hearing that he's not even saying that his client will come and say. He said, I will. So now he becomes what? He becomes a witness on his own case. And then this is good. He's just going to get conflicted along the way. He's just going to get conflicted because it should be his client's version, not his version. And now the way he's putting it is saying, I am going to make sure. He must say, my clients are going to make sure that this happens. And then he needs to give evidence. His clients needs to give evidence, or it's what they're going to ask during the examination. Why was this thing not canvassed with the previous witnesses? Because it was supposed to be canvassed with the witnesses who were in the house. Zandi was in the house. She was there. She was a witness. This question was never posed to her. Tumelo Madlala was in the house. This evidence was never, this version was never placed before the court. Mngomezulu, for lack of better word, he's playing to the gallery. Like there's one attorney who once did it with Jacob Zuma, playing to the gallery. And it's dangerous. Because how is he going to change all those statements? Because now, that evidence is not going to stand because they have failed to deal with it with regard to other witnesses. Because the witnesses who's before court was not in the house during the incident. And then for him to even go to an extent of saying that no, Longwe even shot himself on the ankle, he needs to go and bring something to prove that. And this is what he was supposed to bring during the time when Zandile was on the stand, during the time when Tumelo Madlala was on the stand, and even go to an extent of bringing a J88, which is a medical report, to say, Tumelo, I put it, my clients will come and say, Longwe shot himself while he was shooting haphazardly around the house. But we don't have that. What we have is a better version of Tefo in Advocate Mngomezulu. We have got Tefo in a lighter version. Because it does not make sense why you would bring evidence at a later stage. Remember, Bradeni and the listeners, or the panel, those one in the panel. In court, especially criminal court, you need to stand with one version. And now we have got two versions. We are receiving the second version. The first version is that we don't know these things. We don't know because these people are saying they were not there. But now, Mngomezulu is placing his client there. How does the client know all those things? Because his clients now, you see, he even cut off the possibilities of getting 174 because the only time you will get section 174, which is acquittal after the state closes case, it's when there's nothing that suggests that you were involved. But now, these people have brought a lot of information that requires that they need to answer it on the other side of the story. So, I will say it like the last time I said it here. I'm not saying I'm a better lawyer than them. And I have said it to you that I've been convicted by the current presiding officer.
Yes.
He sentenced me to a life sentence for a murder and attempted murder. And what I can tell you is he might look like he's interfering, but he is allowed as a presiding officer to ask what do they call them, clarity questions. He needs to understand what's happening. But once he starts shaking his head, know that there's something that is wrong that you're doing, and you will not come back from that. He doesn't just shake his hand. He doesn't just hold his, like they have got this style. He looks up and like he's yawning, like, oh, this one. So the first problem that Mngomezulu is doing, he's playing to the gallery and playing at the wrong platform. Maybe it's the TV that's making him to believe that he wants to be a celebrity lawyer. He is dealing with people's lives. He's dealing with his reputation as a lawyer. But for him to introduce, because now this information cannot be clarified by those who were in the house. The person who's on the stand today was not in the house. She doesn't know anything, and she can't even tell because there's a lot of things that happened prior to her getting involved in the matter. The people who are strictly aware of what happened are the likes of Tumelo Madlala, are the likes of Zandile, the likes of Kelly Kumalo, and then Kelly Kumalo's mom, and then her sister. And accused number one, Mr. Mngomezulu's client, and have been represented all. Suppose Nkosi, please mute. So the accused has been represented by lawyers all this time, and it cannot be. Remember, there's no excuse in law. You can't say that I had forgotten those things. You can't say so at court. Hence, they ask you, they even give you time to say, go and consult with your client. Go and find out what is happening to the clients. Go and inquire. They give you enough opportunity. And for you to now come with a new version, because this is a new version, because if it is an old version, it was supposed to have been brought at the time when the case had started. It means now we have got two versions from accused number one. Now, the court have got a duty to examine between the two versions. And, Brateni, like the reality is one. Once you have got two versions, either of them is true. You can't have two versions that are talking about the same thing. You can't. And remember, one thing that you can't do with criminal matters is you don't have to hide evidence and say, no, I'll produce it when it suits me. You have to put it out. Hence, when I started doing my privilege with the bar that I belong to, they said to me, the first duty that you have as a prosecutor and as a lawyer is to be honest, irrespective of how much the case is on your side. Even when I say that I don't have a case or I have a case, I need to bring about that evidence before the court, because that evidence might be important to convict and or to acquit or to discharge my client at a later stage. But today, for the first time, I had not watched I had not watched news for a while, but I looked at it and I'm like, it reminds me of about 2015 when I started practicing. I was not bad compared to what the worst that I saw today. So you come back and look at what Tefo was saying. This is exactly the same gossip that Tefo was talking about. The gossip that does not have a backbone. The gossip that cannot be confirmed by the next person. And what do we call that gossip in law? It's a hearsay evidence. Yes. The question is it acceptable? It is acceptable at certain circumstances. But generally, it is unacceptable, because you can't say, Bradeni told me this, and you don't call Bradeni to come and confirm. Bradeni needs to be called to say, Bradeni, we heard that you were at this place at this time. We heard they talked about your name. What do you say about these things? Hence, if you go to the civil course, especially with the motion, they will say, if you are talking about Bradeni, Bradeni needs to do a confirmatory affidavit to say, yes, you know what, I am aware of what Advocate Machisa is saying about me. But what are we hearing? And then why was it not placed? I will always go back to the previous witnesses. Why was it not placed to them to say, Zandile, I put it to you that you were shot on that day? Because then if Zandile was told those things, and then Zandile would be asked, were you ever shot and where were you shot? And then she needs to prove to us. And then if those clients of his, as he said, they were not in the house, then they need to give him an information as to where was Zandile shot, whether on a thigh, whether on the elbow, whatever that happened. They need to say those things. Hence, I'm saying these are hearsays because his clients are getting information from the street. And the information from the street, Braden, you cannot use it in court.
No.
It's more like what an official minister was saying regarding the traditional healers. Their evidence is their evidence alone. You can't use that in court. It's not proven scientifically. It's just a traditional belief. Remember, the reason why I say it's belief is because there are others who don't believe in it. There are those who believe in it. But with science, like ballistic tests, they will come back and show you, okay, this is what happened, and then this is the number that is left on the projectile. And then it like they tell you everything as to how it happens. They place you in the open. You can't even challenge some things, like more like what do you call this thing? The DNA testing. They bring it and said, okay, we took the blood and this is what happened to the blood, and then these are the chromosomes they need to match, and if they don't match, then this person cannot be deemed to be the parent of this person. But with regard to traditional healing and traditional what do you call these things, and traditional practices, you cannot prove those things, because even when you go there to consult, they will tell you that as your granddad is saying this, but you are not hearing your granddad saying those things, because the last time you heard your granddad speaking was the time when he was still alive. So that evidence can never be accepted in court. So my submission, and then I'll say, one, his clients are also placing themselves at the scene again, because that information, it needs to come from one of his clients, and that client of his needs to tell us where did he get that crucial information, because this is the information that the police needed at the time. And these people, instead of giving the police this crucial evidence that they had, they elected to do a confession which they were challenging at a later stage, saying, no, we didn't do this freely and voluntarily. We were told to do this. We were even assaulted. We were driven around. People murdered us and all those things. How did they miss such a crucial, important information at the time when they were being harassed? Because they should have said those things. The police were going to leave them and go and approach Mr. Longwe and said, Mr. Longwe, we are arresting you. Because one thing that you need to know, Braden, is all of us, I say this without, I don't even need correction from anyone. All of us are suspects in either anything that might happen. If they said something happened and Bradeni was there, Bradeni is a suspect until he is caught and charged, then he becomes an accused person. So they were supposed to go and take Bralongwe. Bralongwe was supposed to answer or give a statement to say, no, I was never shot. I don't have any bruise or any wound that have been treated. Why is this information coming out today? And one thing, do we also have a doctor who will come and confess and say, yeah, I treated this person? Do we have such a doctor? I doubt we'll have such a person. So a message I can give to my learned colleague, Mr. Mngomezulu, is to stop wasting the court time, because the more you waste time, it's when the judge gets furious, the presiding officer gets furious to say, you know what, these people are wasting our time, these people are wasting precious time of the court. And remember, these are the resources that are working. These people get paid. And there are a lot of cases that requires an attention. Why mislead such a court? Hence, Judge Ratam Khatleng will always tell you about his experience to say, during our days, this is how we used to do it. And it's not like he's trying to show off to say, no, I know much. No, he's trying to show you that you are wrong in the manner you're doing things. You are living ethically. You are no longer there. So, Mr. Mngomezulu needs to deal with things that, the version that they've already stated, rather. At first, they need to continue with that version. You cannot change the version because it's more like you're indicating left and turning right. And Bradeni and the followers, you would understand if I'm driving a car and I indicate left and turn right, the other person is going to collide with me. And that is going to be the extent. So what is happening with Mr. Mngomezulu is creating a very serious accident. One last thing, Bradeni. Mm-hmm. The fact that confession have already been accepted and they failed to with the trial within trial as the defense, what is left is what I'll call the kick, the kick of a dying horse. And it is what a official minister said Mr. Mngomezulu, I think it's you who said Mr. Mngomezulu is just throwing everything. He's throwing everything because he can see where it is going. There's no hope in his case. And I will repeat, these guys are going to be convicted and sentenced to life sentence and a bit of years above that life sentences. Thank you.
Thank you, Matiza. And people were asking on the comment section, Matiza, to clarify the issue of the sentencing. If I can quickly respond to that. If I remember well, you previously came into the live and told us that you once appeared before Judge Rata on behalf of certain clients, guys, and those clients were ultimately handed over life sentences. That's what he meant, that Rata gave him a life sentence, not him in particular, but his clients. Am I correct, Matiza?
Yes. No. I was representing a certain guy, and then it was a murder, an attempted murder. It was in Johannesburg High Court, and then I was convicted. When I said I was convicted, it's because in court, when, let's say for argument's sake, if Prateni is my client, I am the one who receives me and Prateni, we are one thing when we are in court. So Mngomezulu speaks on behalf of his client. So you cannot separate Mngomezulu and his client when they are in court. Whatever that Mngomezulu says in court is what his client told him to say. So yeah, there's someone who asked something, if I may. Remember the person was asking about the why Kelly is not being called. If I am a tailor, like Mr. Baloy have already tailored his own vest or his own jersey. So he already know that if he adds Kelly on his jersey will not have that strength to last for a longer period. And then he doesn't think, or they don't believe that Kelly is going to assist them in their case. And then hence they decided to leave him. But once a potential witness is left by the state, it's not the end of it. You as a defense have got a right to subpoena that person. They can subpoena that person, calling her to court, and then that person must come and give evidence. So it is only at some instances, like let's say I am involved in some criminal activities as a person, and then my wife is aware of those things. There are certain evidences that my wife cannot give out. And then I think that is exclusion of witnesses or those who can give evidence. My spouse cannot give evidence regarding things that happened during the course of the marriage. And then that include maybe if we once killed someone together, so during the time when we were still together, and then yeah. But other than that, I don't think Kelly is necessary for the state case because she's going to collapse that case. And she might even give out evidence that they don't want to lead. And not because they don't want to lead it, but because it does not favor them. So Baloyi is very careful. One thing I can tell you about Baloyi, he's one of the prosecutors who's fair. And then you might not understand his tackle, but if you were to be on the shoes of those who have been victimized, you would understand his approach to say he's also protecting those ones. Like people were saying, no, this never happened, Balo is doing this, but now you will see the jersey that is knitting. I am for the defense at most times, but I've always said it even on the previous time that these guys are responsible for the passing of Senzo and they will be convicted. And I hope Kabza, sorry, this one, Kabza, you can hear the story of Kelly if the defense really wants her to come and form part of those who give evidence. It's up. In English, maybe my English is not that proper. I speak English in Venex sometimes, but they said the ball is in your court, is in the courts of the defense. So the defense has to take that ball and play it because now they've been given to say, we are not going to use Kelly. Now they need to prepare for Kelly. And then remember, they cannot use the statement that are on 375 on this matter because they have not been disclosed to anyone in this matter. Because that is my belief, unless if I'm mistaken, but the 375 statements remain in 375. They cannot be introduced in the current matter because they were not taken purposefully for this matter, but for 375, which is the flight that never took off. I thank you.
Let's quickly correct that, Matiza. They fought very bitterly for that document, and it was discovered to them, so it was disclosed. So
okay, I understand. I was saying the evidence that are in 375 are not the evidence of the current matter, and then you cannot incorporate those things unless if the state is saying that it wants to join the matters, and there's a proper wording for it. It's just leaving my head. When they want to join all the matters, and when they join all the matters, even the accused on 375 now needs to form part of the current accused in this matter, which has not been done. So that evidence, and I think I said it correctly to say if it has not been disclosed, but if you are saying that it has been disclosed, then it forms part. But if it was me, I was going to challenge that type of evidence because that evidence was not taken purposefully for this matter, but for the previous matter that never took off. I was going to do this, and then Musolebiala, I'll take that as an appreciation because only few understand what happens in court, and we don't lose cases, we learn from cases. And for your information, I've never lost any crucial case other than the one that I'm proud of that I have lost because I was still a junior advocate. Now I'm a senior advocate. You can move someone and call me, then I'll represent you and show you that I'm capable. Thank you.
Thank you, Advocate Matiza. And Motolejwala, you must thank Advocate Matiza for responding because I was about to block you. We don't tolerate those kind of comments in this platform. So you must thank him that you are still here. One such comment like that, we will block you. We treat each other with respect in this platform. That's what we try and emphasize too many times. So let's not be excited unnecessarily, guys. As much as we encourage people to be free on the comment section and on the panel, we try to conduct ourselves in an orderly manner. I do get excited sometimes as well, but I hold my excitement to myself. So let's respect each other. Tandolo too. Good evening.
Evening, Prateni, to official minister, Matsitsa, Spo, Downtown, and then Sis Brenda. I don't see her anymore. To everyone that is on the comment section, everyone that is on this live, good evening. Pradeni,
Hey, Tada.
there is a guy who once wrote a book called The Capitalist Nigger. I don't know, but I think it was Onyika, but it's a Nigerian guy. In the book, he speaks about the raw material that leaves Africa, and during that process and time, we get things that come back, and we are able to call them things, which is we get guns, we get cars, we get diamonds, and all of these things. But he's actually crying, and his cry, yes, Chika Onion, yes, that's the guy. This guy cries about the fact that we are using guns to kill one another. And the guns that we're using to kill one another, we do not even know how they are manufactured. We don't even know the process of these guns in anyhow. But yet, we as black people have gained the ability to kill each other, right? Now, I want to go to this 38. My submission tonight is this 38 special, right? The 38 special that they are talking about, I am not sure which one it is, because revolvers, you get 3 different kinds, Pradini. A single action, a double action, and a double only, right? And a 38, you also do get a 38 that is a 9mm. That one is quite unique. It's got a long handle. Yeah, and it's quite, the nose is not that long, it's very short. So when you use this type of gun, I think it's very accurate in terms of shooting, because it gives you a great position, all right? But anyhow, if I was Mngomezulu, this is where I'm at now in my submission. If I was Mngomezulu, on the basis of research, I would have went and found out in that docket, right? Why is it that they did not get a warrant of seize and search? Why didn't they do that? You understand? Why in that 375, the 375 people, when you say you want to submit or accept the fact that the docket that is before you has enough conclusive evidence beside what the people have been saying, why in that docket don't they have a warrant and a seize for Ulonge Twala, for the 38 special that we are talking about? Because in order for us to draw any suspicion on this, we must have the gun, or rather we must have some form of means that were made by the person or the investigation, the investigation officer. Why didn't the investigation officer go, or rather seek for a warrant for this specific gun if he had interest in 375? Why didn't he do that? I'm saying that because I'm not hearing Mngomezulu talking about the warrant to go to Longwe to go look for the gun, right? Okay, fine. We don't have the warrant, right? Therefore, to me, this is the form of it's a form of bias in terms of how he becomes selective. You understand? He is selective in terms of where he wants to go. The judge notes that. What you said also, Pradin, the fact that now the judge gets to ask him, "Mana, is this the only point that you want to concentrate on in the statement, right? Because the only thing that is bringing is only this. Okay, let's leave him to be biased." So if I was him, therefore, another interesting thing that maybe he would have discovered, basis of curiosity, what he would have discovered, right, is that a 38 and a 9mm, they bullets in diameter only differ by they differ by 0.0002 inches. Basically, it's a small diameter, this one, right? They differ very much. They are very close to one another. So if he had brought an argument to say that the 9mm pistol and the revolver are probably very much similar in diameter with the bullets, and therefore the bullets, or rather the projectile that were found, were probably I'm just saying that if he had brought it, or rather the argument he had brought to the bullet, and to compare the bullet that was used, and to say that the revolver itself and the 9mm have some form of similarities. We don't have those similarities. We don't have nothing that is similar, that is based on whatever the revolver was, right? Number two, very important to me. Number two, a revolver, if someone takes out a revolver, right? And the way a gun you bridge it, a revolver you pull, right? So there must have been some form of, because now these two guns don't have, they might be guns, but they don't have the same characteristics in terms of appearance, right? So if someone walks in, or rather someone was in the house, takes out a revolver, you would have known that someone took on a revolver. How would we have known that? Because the people that are therefore claiming that the revolver was taken out, the description of the gun would have been different from the one that we have now. We don't have any form of description. I don't know if I stand to be corrected on that one, but I'm not hearing anyone showing me that a revolver was, or rather, a gun was breached, or a gun was pulled. You understand what I'm saying? So none of that is in the docket. So if Mngomezulu was to challenge that and to say that constructively, I, Mngomezulu, believe that these statements and the revolver therefore was used, you would have to demonstrate that the people, or rather the witnesses that are in the house, their description of the gun, beside the fact that because those two guns, the second gun might have been a revolver, but the gun that was pulled, we know that it's not a revolver. But if he's going to dispute the fact that a revolver was used, that means now he needs to give some form of description of a revolver being used. So I don't see that. So my interest was in this revolver that is used here, and what type of revolver was being used here. Because to say it's a 38, to me, it's baseless.
Thank you, Thandole, too. And just to add there, Thandole, to over and above failure to recover that alleged 9mm, which they alleged belonged to Chigo. Chigo told us that he's never owned a revolver or a 38 special. Chigo confirmed that he does own a gun, a 9mm Parabellum, which was taken to the Forensic Science Laboratory. It was received by Lieutenant Colonel Chris Manyena around November 2014, and he testified that that gun was tested and matched against those projectiles, and it came out negative. That's some of the testimony that people conveniently forget or choose not to believe, but is the testimony that was heard, and so far that testimony has not been challenged. The evidence that we know is that Senzo was killed by a 9mm CZ Kaluga, which has been confirmed against the projectiles that were picked up by Sergeant Musia, assisted by Warrant Officer Mhlahlo. That is the testimony before court, not the nonwana that we're hearing on social media. Though time, good evening.
Good evening, Bradini. Good evening to everyone on the panel. Good evening to all the supporters of this life. Bradini, you know what? Today I'm going to start with something that it just baffled me the whole day. To understand where is Mngomezulu coming from actually? For him to go on to say that the whole case has been cooked, and advocate for that matter.
Yes.
When are we going to listen to these 375 people downplaying each and everything that is happening in court? How did we know that accused number 5 was driving the car? How did we know that accused number 4 was standing guard at the door or at the window? How did we know that Muzi was at the door? How did we know that accused number 2 and accused number 3 were in the house? How did we know that? I mean, the whole story has been cooked to a point whereby a doctor in where was Ntanzi working was bought together with the assistant.
In Kabani.
I mean, yes, in Kabani, to a point whereby I'm just trying to gather these pieces together. How many people were bought to cook this thing, and whoever the person that they're protecting, that person must be the president, must be what you call one of president or something.
Yes.
Or it's be one of Bill Clinton or one of Barack Obama or something.
Yes.
For them to go this extra mile to bribe so many people in this case. I mean, let me tell you, to go and bribe to go and bribe, people asking about Mangena. And I always tell them, if you want to know Mangena, the records are there on TikTok. You can go and watch Mangena at what you call Oscar Pistorius case. And look what Mangena's job is there. And then you'll understand what that man does not come from a corner. Yeah, the guys like Beriru asking him question, and he answered him. I can even play that test. What you call it, the record whereby Mangena was testifying. I was like, wow, I'm so proud to have a black person who already they have this kind of quality, that they can give this kind of quality evidence in court. Yeah, but today now we are hearing an advocate. The case has been cooked. Man, I'm trying to understand the magistrate, the interpreters. When did Gininda find time to go? Yeah, I thought maybe we were done with the force of this world and this guy, I got the Timon and Bumba, the two of them before they were taken out. So now we've got Mngomezulu representing the worst version of them all. Yeah. This is taxpayers' money that they're wasting these guys, because if we want this thing to be finished so that we can focus on other things. Yes, we are invested in this case. But the 375 people, they've got a tendency of being selective. Firstly, they said that Kelly Kumalo is involved, is the one who killed Senzo Meyu. Now Kelly Kumalo has been linked with the suspect. They're changing the whole narrative. Must we always dance to these people tune? And this TikTok lawyer, Mr Mngomezulu, hey guys, no, what's our king? Yo, what's up today? If negesa tlhokofala, I will no, sure today I will never die again. Motlhomongwe Modimo tla nkgopola ke na le bo 95, 96. I won't die. Like he said, the whole thing was, I was like, oh my word. I didn't say oh my word. I used the F word that I cannot mention here, but I did mention that F word, and I mentioned it so loudly that the person who was sitting next to me heard me say, "Hey Mona, why are you swearing?" Because it was like, from that point I said, no, I'm done. I just switched off my cell phone. I did not watch the case anymore. I said I'll watch it at home. And when I got home, I just skipped the part of Mngomezulu because I did not want to be disgusted again. But I just need to understand these 375 people. Up until when are we going to play into your narrative? Tell us who killed Senzo Mayua then. Because of the very same people that you see them, the 5 of them that Mngomezulu has pointed that none of them are involved in the case. Remember, we had the confessions from Muzi and Ntanzi. That is, we are where we are because of Muzi and Ntanzi. Accused number 1 and number 2.
Yes.
Not fabrications. But no, we must deal with them. We must be like what you call today. These people. A father, a brother, a captain of Bafana Bafana at that point in time. That guy was doing very well, both for his club and the national team. He died just like that. And now we need to forgive those people. Now we need to understand Hore, Mtanzi is a very good person. Yes, Mtanzi is a very good person. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time at that point in time. But he did well by mentioning all of this. But now, you have lawyers like Mngomezulu, Mudimwag. Oh gosh. Yeah, ne? That's the only point that I need to stress today, that a whole advocate saying that the case has been cooked. Eh? What an insult to our justice system. That is an insult to our justice system, guys. The whole of it. An insult. You know, I felt so bad last week when Rata said that, is this how we black people, he did not say that, but that is where it was going. This is how we black people are behaving. Like, people had the chance to go to consult with their ballistic expert since last year August. Today they came in, they gave us, this lawyer and I started to get on my nerve because of he's always making the court look like a joke, like a mockery. It's a mockery. It's like a. Because of kindergarten for him, he needs some places where he needs to play. He just come there to play. And one other thing that I've just noticed: this lawyer consulting with the their clients all the time. May I approach my lord? 2 minutes. May I approach my lord? Honey, when are they having time to consult? Aren't they getting paid to do that? The visions of Mngomezulu, I don't know, is vision number 129 or 130 that we're having. The next thing, Muzi was in the house. The next thing is was not in the house. The next thing, he didn't know anything about this. The next thing, didn't work. Oh gosh. Yo, guys, these 375 people, I think we need to like start, blocking them, taking them out of anything that has to do with this case. Because of Bona, they always come with versions that want to suit them, but they did not tell us who killed Senzo. If they can only tell us who killed Senzo, then maybe we'll be able to listen to it. But as far as we're concerned with the evidence that Baloi has led in court, it shows clearly that these guys were involved, all of them. We know that accused number 5 was driving a Polo. We know that. And Bona 375, they're saying that accused number 5 was arrested. What a joke. We know that accused number 4 was guarding at the door. We know that. But the rest of 5 people are saying accused number 4 was arrested at that point in time. We know that accused number 3 is the one who pulled the trigger to kill Senzo Meyiwa through accused 1 and 2. But no, the accused number 3 was in jail at that point in time. That is 375 people. Come on, man. Come on. Thank you, Bradeni. Maybe get a sharp after saying this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No time.